What's good, Trank fam? Welcome back to another video. And today, I'm hitting you guys with my biggest shocks of the NBA season so far. So, I have 6 topics right now. It was going to be a top 10 video, but it was taking a pretty long time to research. So, this is what I came up with. Number 1, the Philadelphia 76ers and Utah Jazz are leading their conferences respectively through 25 games. The Jazz are 20-5, and the Sixers are either 19-6 or 18-7. Sixers are obviously led by the MVP candidate Joel Embiid, who's averaging about 30 a night, and honestly, I don't know. Is he still a second-best center in the league? I don't know, man. I'm a Jokic fan, so depends. And their supposedly second star, Ben Simmons, who isn't even averaging 14 a night. They have a new coach in Doc Rivers and a new general manager in Daryl Morey, who I guess have been really doing their job as their 2 new additions to the franchise, and the franchise is doing their best and is off to their best start in a while. Philadelphia has a net +4 rating, which is good for 4th in the NBA. And if you don't know what net rating is, it's the combination of offensive rating, which obviously is how good your overall offense is, and defensive rating, which is how good your overall defense is. It's mashed together to become a net rating. So +4, if it's top 5 in the NBA, obviously is good. The Jazz, on the other hand, are led by all-stars Donovan Mitchell and Rudy COVID Gobert. Quinn Snyder is an early Coach of the Year candidate, leading the Jazz to a 20-5 record. And honestly, I think he's been a pretty underrated coach during his tenure with the Jazz, honestly. Especially during that year where Gordon Hayward, I think, took him to the playoffs. Like, he's really unappreciated for that. They have a slow-paced scheme, which is actually really working. It's like 98.0 or whatever. I'm not really sure how that advanced stat works. But it's 25th in the NBA. So they have the 25th slowest pace in the NBA. But it's working, because Utah has a +8.9, so about +9 rating, which is good for 2nd in the NBA. Number 2, Bradley Beal somehow wasn't traded yet. I remember sometime last week he said, I don't want to be traded, I want to win a championship with the Jazz. Jazz. Wizards. Hot take, Bradley. Hot take. He's averaging 33 a game on a 6-15 team. 6-15, ladies and gents. They're probably going to have a top 5 pick. He isn't messing that well with Westbrook, and he thinks he can win a championship in Washington. That's bold in itself, to be honest. I fully think that Bill could force himself out. I guess he's seeing how the Texans are dealing with Deshaun Watson and stuff, and saying, I don't really want to be a part of that, which I totally understand. But Stafford and the Lions did it after peacefully, talking for years. And Bill, I think he could do a similar thing, more so to the like of how Stafford did it, instead of Watson, who's only been in Houston for a couple of years. Number 3, the Heat and Mavericks are 10 to 13 seeds, with the Heat being the 10th seed in the East, which is weaker than the West. But the Mavericks are the 13th seed in the West. The Heat, as you guys already know, won the West last year. Never mind. The Heat won the East last year and took the Lakers to 6 games. They have the 27th best offense in the league. 27th worst, I should say, probably. And the 7th best defense. So, their offense isn't great, but the defense is decent. I think they're like 10-14 right now. The injury bug bit them, as the proverb goes. The Mavericks, they ended up taking the Clippers to 6 or 7 in the first round last year. They had 26th ranked defense and 15th ranked offense, so they're not really excelling at anything. Middle of the pack offense and well below average defense. They have a -2.4 rating, which is good for 22nd in the NBA. And I forgot to mention the Heat have a -3.2 rating, which is good for about 26th or 27th in the NBA. Number 4, the emergence of young players. First of all, we have Colin Sexton, a.k.a. Sexland, averaging 23 a night. He's a pure scorer, and he's having way better efficiency than last year. And it's like, well, how can you call somebody that's drafted as a point guard? Most people classify him as a shooting guard now. A pure scorer, because he only averages 3.1 rebounds and 4 assists. That's why. He's averaging way better efficiency this year, which I already said. But is he a perennial 20-point per game scorer? I mean, last year he averaged about 21 a game, I think. And this year he's averaging, I think, 23.8, something like that. Then we have Christian Wood, who recently signed, who obviously this offseason switched from the Detroit Pistons. Glad you got out of there, buddy, but you went to the Rockets, who traded Harden. I don't know if that really did any favors for him. But he's averaging 22 and 10, actually it's 22 and 11, I think, a night, with a 9-point jump. Obviously, he's currently injured right now with an ankle injury, but is he a future All-Star? He's only 25. Then we have Emmanuel Quickley, who's playing pretty well. He's averaging about 12 and 5, I think, which is obviously above expectations. Most people thought it was a bit of a reach when the Knicks took him in the mid-20s. And then you have Zach LaVine, who has taken a big step up. I'm not sure what his numbers are. I think he's averaging 25. We already knew he was a flashy dunker, good scorer, but he's taking another step up, which makes me think he might even... nah, the East have a lot of good guards. I was going to say maybe make the All-Star game. At number 5, we have the Nets, who currently have the best offensive rating ever and the worst defensive rating ever. They have 3 offensive superstars, and Kyrie, a great ball handler, playmaker, and play driver who can score too. Then you have KD, the greatest scorer of the 2010s, Harden, a guy who can get you 30 a night, an elite shooter, and can play make. None of those guys have defensive ability, though, and they're depending on DeAndre Jordan to defend the likes of Bam Adebayo, who's obviously he was the first Heat player since LeBron in 2013 to lead the team in points, rebounds, and assists. You have Joel Embiid, who, like I mentioned earlier, is an early MVP candidate, averaging about 30 a night. Giannis, who was a back-to-back MVP last year in 2019. Pascal Siakam, who was an All-Star. You have Sabonis, who was an All-Star last year. And heck, maybe even Drummond. They traded away Jared Allen and Caris LeVert, which obviously takes away from defense. And my last and final point is KD and Curry are making insane comebacks. I think KD definitely, if he keeps up with this pace this season, he's already an MVP candidate and may have the argument for best comeback of all time, even though, we have Dominique Wilkins in 89. But Kevin Durant is coming back from the worst basketball injuries, an Achilles tear, and he's averaging 29.5 on a team with 2 other stars, and it might be his best all-around season ever. Curry is coming off a serious ankle injury, averaging near career best in rebounds and points, and leading a below average, well, average at best, Warriors team to the playoff. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Catch you in the next video. I'm out.